Hello, everyone, and welcome to Buzzer Beater, your home for NAIA basketball news and analysis. I'm James Lex, and I'm joined by John Cookman and Will Boone. Talk about the big news in NAIA basketball this week. Today's all about March Madness for NAIA Division II men's and women's basketball. John and Will, you guys ready to break out the brackets once again?
I am ready.
March Madness, let's go.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's get right to the bracket, starting with Division II men's basketball. Take a look at the full picture here. Number 1 overall went to College of Idaho, followed by Indiana Wesleyan, Morningside, and Olivet Nazarene. We'll get to who's in and who the few teams that were left out in just a bit. But first, do you guys feel like the brackets, they feel even, or do you see just an absolute killer in there?
I'm pretty happy with it, honestly. It's pretty fair. There were a few snubs, as there normally are, but I'm pretty happy with it. John, what do you think?
Yeah, it's hard to tell, James. So if I'm going to be real honest, it's really hard to tell in NAIA basketball world because you don't really get the media coverage to be able to get good input on who is really, really good. I'm just assuming that all these teams are really, really good. There's not a ton of disparity. So I just got to go with the way it works out in the numbers.
All right, well, let's break this down. Let's go through each quadrant here of the bracket. Let's start with the Naismith bracket first, where College of Idaho, number 1 overall. Guys, they got a tough one there, Northwestern. They're technically the host team, and as the Yotes fans are legit, but I don't think they're going to be able to travel and pack out the stadium the way Northwestern. They may not necessarily pack it all out, but it's going to be loud for that game. And what a tough one, too. Number 1 overall. You should be an easy one on the 8 seed, right? It should be the number 32 overall.
Again, I don't think there's any such thing in the NAIA as far as easy or non-easy games.
Yeah.
You got to take them all like they're the championship game. So this will be a tough one. College Idaho of Idaho is a great team.
Definitely.
But Northwestern, I think, has a good 38% chance for the upset.
And you keep looking down there.
There is a chance.
The winner there is going to play the winner of Madonna and IU Kokomo. Madonna getting the Wolverine Hoosier tournament victory there. They get and then they'll play Kokomo, one of the at-large bids. Bottom side of this bracket, really intriguing matchups here. In fact, we even got a little hot take on Twitter on that Antelope Valley Washington Adventist. Jake Palmer, he says, look, Antelope Valley Washington Adventist is the best first-round game in his opinion, and I don't know if he's wrong. You guys can sound off on Twitter. Winner could go far in the tournament. And then you look back on the other teams in there, Marion and Kaiser. That's going to be a great game in Naismith in the opening round.
A lot of love to Antelope Valley.
A lot of love for Antelope Valley. Certainly is the rumor, word on the street.
I'm going to go in early right now, and Antelope Valley wins the whole thing.
Ooh, what?
Hot takes.
Number 3. You picking them all the way.
What number 3? What
3 seed.
What are you talking about? It's Antelope Valley. And these guys not only can score really well, but even better, like the old adage says, defense wins championships. Ladies and gentlemen, at holding their opponents to 68 points per game, Antelope Valley not only can show you that they score a lot, but they hold their opponents to a really low score. On average, they are in the top echelon. I think they're in the top 5 of holding their opponents to the lowest amount of score. They call it scoring defense per game.
Right.
But they are the real deal. They have a good total package. They can score and they can defensive. So I don't know who this is saying that this is going to be a great game. I predict Antelope Valley by 13.
Oh, wow.
In this first round matchup.
Wow. Washington Adventist, they are an independent, so they aren't playing in a conference. So we haven't quite seen them against perhaps other teams in the way they would if they were in one of the nearby conferences. But let's talk about maybe some upsets in this bracket.
Guys, I'm all for an upset.
Yeah.
So I'm picking Kaiser at the bottom.
Okay.
Kaiser over Marion.
Interesting.
7 seed is kind of a bold statement, but Mark Gordon for Kaiser is just going to go off, guys.
Yeah, Mark Gordon is
he's averaging about 27 points
good.
a game.
Yeah, he's really good.
And I really that's my upset pick is Kaiser over Marion.
Kaiser has a decent defense.
A 7 over a 2, not a bad. I think that is kind of, how it magically works out. Seems like the 7 seed a lot of times gets some good first-round love and does perform the upset. I don't know if that's going to happen in this particular bracket. They all look like they will probably work out. So I'm gonna take the higher seed field. I'm gonna say all higher seeds actually get through on this bracket.
Okay, at least in the first round.
First round,
yeah, because then you got Antelope Valley going all the way to the house.
Oh, yeah.
All right, let's move on to the Cramer bracket. All right, so guys, I tweeted out something last night just in general and some teams that were left out. I felt St. Thomas might have been left out, but I happened to mention that the 12-loss College Ozarks team, 13-loss Lincoln get in, and that apparently was not going over well with Coach Vernell Robinson at Lincoln. He took a little exception to my tweet saying earned, not given, and post a picture of them as the independent champions. Congratulations, guys. Yes, I'm not saying you didn't earn it. I'm not trying to stir the pot too much. I'm just saying I feel a little bit for St. Thomas. Now let's go to the bracket. They get the 8 seed in this quadrant, and so they got to play Olivet Nazarene first off. Guys, you got any thoughts on this bracket?
Well, Olivet Nazarene is a good team.
Definitely. Okay.
I know that it looks like they're the number 1 seed kind of overall, but I'm not sure I agree with that. I do think that they beat Lincoln, but I think Lincoln is going to give them a great game. And look to, if you want to watch a game, this is really the big upset game in the making. I don't think it will be an upset, but I think it's going to be kind of one of those barn burners. It's going to come down. Great coaching. These two coaches really know their way around the end of a game. So that, to me, makes it fun to watch. So this is definitely one to watch. Lincoln will provide some great competition and push Olivet Nazarene to the limit.
Will, hot takes or upsets in the Cramer bracket?
I'm going with Olivet Nazarene on this one. They're gonna win through the bracket.
That's not an upset, though.
No, it's not an upset. I'm feeling Olivet Nazarene through the way.
You feeling this will be a little boring. This is just going to be
not necessarily
number 1 all the way
not
through.
boring. It's just higher seeds.
Higher seeds? Well.
So you have no upsets in this bracket?
I do not.
Is that what you're saying?
I feel like Ottawa is a little overseeded, but I feel like they will still come out with the win against Concordia.
Yeah, I'd say the weakest. I'm gonna stir the pot now. Weakest seed here is number 6, St. Francis, Indiana. I'm going to say Union's going to.
Did it? Oklahoma Wesleyan just beat Ottawa?
They did. They just beat Ottawa in the KCAC tournament championship game.
Ottawa's very beatable.
They are beatable, and they have probably the best bench player in the country with Bowie coming off the bench. He's fantastic, but it's good. But so I think Concordia, that's going to be a good game. All right, let's go over to the Duer bracket where the Crossroads champions, Indiana Wesleyan, sit at the top. Now, this Wildcats team, they won the national championship in 2014. They also won it in 2016, 2 years later. And you guys want to guess who won it 2 years later?
Who is it?
That would be Indiana Wesleyan, those Wildcats. Now, guys, it's 2020, and if history repeats itself, Indiana Wesleyan will be lifting the trophy when all is said and done. John,
I disagree.
Are you buying, selling? Indiana Wesleyan winning 4 championships in 6 years? I'm getting a definite no.
I'm going to tell you, here's how it's going to work out because I'll go right to it instead of I'll cut to the chase. Southeastern beats Indiana Wesleyan next round.
Oh, hot takes.
Southeastern beats Indiana Wesleyan next round.
In the second round.
Absolutely.
Okay, now that's going to be a really good second round matchup.
Definitely.
So they get the first round. Let me see the bracket again. So you're saying Crowley's Ridge, they'll win that one. They're going to get to the second, and Southeastern will get to basically the finals of the Duer bracket.
Well, not only will they do it, but Indiana Wesleyan is going to get beat by a freshman.
What?
Minix.
Riley Minix.
Riley Minix is going to show up, and he is a bad man. And let me say, those size 15s are going to be all over that court.
Wow. But you know who's also a bad man?
Yes.
Kyle Mangus.
Kyle Mangus is a
26 points a game, John.
Listen, great defense will overshadow that great offense in tournament ball, and that's just the way it works.
We'll see.
Defense wins
Championships.
There you go.
Indiana
All right.
Wesleyan's my pick for this bracket to go all the way.
Indiana,
Of course.
Wesleyan all the way.
Indiana
I
Wesleyan.
expect that from
Hey, watch
Go
out
Wildcats.
for Oregon Tech there. They're runners-up last year. They're going to have something to say.
We'll see how it comes out.
All right, let's go over to the Liston bracket. And guys, to me, this one has the most interesting 4-5 matchup of the four sides of the bracket. Spring Arbor, they won it all last year, and they're bringing back the national tournament MVP, Paul Marindet. And then we just brought up Oklahoma Wesleyan earlier. They stormed through the KCAC tournament to get that automatic bid, and with head coach Donnie Boswick back at Wesleyan, we're kind of curious if the Eagles, maybe they can make a deep run. But, man, what a tough matchup for the first round against the defending national champions. Guys, got thoughts on this one, on this bracket? Any teams upsets? What do you guys see?
Oklahoma Wesleyan wins that game. Absolutely.
Really?
Yeah, go ahead and bank on it.
Bank on them beating the defending national champions.
Yep, they're going to be on a roll. Bostwick is a great tournament coach. He gets the most out of his teams, and he's no stranger to championships. So, or at least the finals of championships. He always finds his way, even when his teams aren't on paper the best. So that's what I look for. You know, how can the coach it up in tournament time? Well, he's one of the best tournament coaches there is. So I look for, that's not really an upset. That's kind of a 50-50 type game.
Okay.
And I see them going on. But big news, and if you want to put that bracket up one more time, Jeremy, thank you. You're going to be shocked.
Okay.
Montreat wins this bracket.
Montreat.
Ooh, the 7th seed coming at it again.
Okay, so you got Montreat upsetting Southern Oregon
Yeah.
in the first round, Cascade runner-up, and you've got them going all the way. So let's see. That means they're going to have to beat the winner of Holy Cross,
Yep.
Indiana
The
Tech.
number one defense, Holy Cross.
Holy Cross is amazing on defense.
Defense wins
Montreat
championships.
Also, Montreat has a great coach. Coach Garrett is he's one of the great up-and-comers. He has turned that program completely around
he really has.
in just a few short years, and he's ready to make his mark on D2 basketball, being the last year. You know, there's something to go for here.
Yeah, there is.
And I think they're going to leave it all out on the court. They're a great shooting team. And Holy Cross, that'll be a great game. That's going to be a really, really Holy Cross, Montreat. But I say Montreat's going to squeak by every time, but they're going to win right there at the end.
It's going to be 66-67.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
And maybe not even that. Maybe it's 58-59.
And we've seen those in the tournament. These teams get in the larger stadium or auditorium seating and
go
high
dry.
ceiling, and the points just go down.
And that kind of plays to Holy Cross's favor.
Yeah.
So if Montreat doesn't go, I go with Holy Cross. But it's coming out of that side of Liston, the top
half.
side of the bracket. I don't see a lot of hope to get to the Final Four.
Wow. And you got Wesleyan, Morningside College of Ozarks. You presume Morningside moves on, but you never know in NAIA basketball. But wow, okay. Hot takes in the Liston bracket. So that's who's in the tournament, guys. Let's take a look at who was left out. It maybe has a little bit of a gripe here. But to do that, we need to look at the qualifications for what it took to get into the tournament. So let's take a look here. So if you have 10 or more schools, you get 2 automatics. If you have fewer than 10, you only get 1. But if you have 15 or more, you get 3. And this is going to come into play. Now, once you get your automatic berth, the conference gets to choose where those automatics come from. So it could be the tournament champion, the tournament runner-up, it could be the tournament champion, and then if the tournament champion, same as the regular season runner-up gets. So it just varies per conference. So let's look here at everyone who was able to, before I do that though, I got to talk, the at-large berths are critical here because Northwestern basically got one because they're the host. So that kind of took away one, and then depending how the upsets worked in the tournaments and the regulars in the tournaments, you varied who got the automatics. But let's take a look at everyone who got in just by each conference. So you see there, Crossroads, 5 teams getting. They only had 2 automatic, but they got the at-large bids there. GPAC got the at-large, Dakota Wesleyan. Oregon Tech out in the Cascade. Again, we mentioned the runners-up. Washington and Venice, that was okay. So the AII, they got 3 automatic, and Washington and Venice did finish in the top 3 in the tournament. They still had the tournament, even though there's not a regular season champion. Washington and Venice, only 7 losses this year. Pretty good record this year. They got the at-large. But now let's look at, and then and over on the right side, North Star, only one team.
Mayville
Calpac,
State.
Antelope Valley, we brought up Antelope Valley, so only those two conferences, they may go, hey, we should get some more next year. We'll see how it works with only one division. But let's look at who was left out, because I brought it up earlier. St. Thomas in that tweet, 22-6, not bad. And
Great
team. They lost to Southeastern, who obviously are 4 seed, in the finals, in the tournament finals, in overtime. They beat Southeastern earlier in the season. And the losses they took were to like Kaiser. I mean, teams that are in the tournament. I thought they had a good run, or a good case anyway. Dort, they feel like they've got a pretty good case, right? I mean,
tied for second in GPAC. I mean,
but a 3-point loss to Mount Marty in the opening round, I think that did them in. I think that was the issue. I know Bellevue, 24-8. It's hard to be on the outside looking in at 24-8. But the 2-point semifinal loss, pretty good shooting percentage, 50% from the field. A lot of coaches, you feel good if you can shoot a whole season 50% or more.
Oh, yeah.
And yet they're on the outside looking, and 13-1 in conference. I don't know
one conference loss.
What more can they do? And then obviously Southwestern. So Southwestern, they lost to Bethel in the opening round of the tournament by only 1 point, and that opened up the door for Oklahoma Wesleyan to sneak in because Oklahoma Wesleyan won the tournament. Southwestern didn't get that at large. So, guys, do you feel like any 4 of these teams, if you had to put one in, let's just say open up one spot for a play-in game maybe against, let's say the Northwestern. Let's say it was a play-in game for Northwestern. The winner moves on to play the number 1 overall College of Idaho. Which one would you pick to get in that play-in game?
I've got St. Thomas for me.
Yeah,
that hurts.
That's a tough one. They play really good basketball down in Florida, and I'm just going kind of where's the best basketball geographically.
Mm-hmm.
And I would think that, at least my logic sense says, the basketball is just a little bit higher caliber down in Florida than the other places. So
GPAC's going to have something to say.
Well, I'm sure they all have something to say to that, but you just kind of look at it from historically where you get your players from. And Florida's always produced a lot of good basketball players. So I'm going to go with
St. Thomas.
What is that conference? I'm blanking.
The Sun
Conference. Yeah.
Where you have Southeastern and Kaiser both there, both qualified, and they were third.
I just think they have
a little case.
They're underrated because they haven't been there a lot. A lot of these teams are newer, showing up into the polls. So I think the quality of basketball now is really good.
And 22-6. I mean, it's hard to keep that team out.
That's not to say the quality is bad on the other conference.
Yes, correct. You're just saying
it's definitely not trying to say that. I'm just saying I think at this point
and your
now
Twitter's
better.
Blowing up now as everyone's going at you on that one. All right, hey, speaking of Twitter, let's look at some more hot takes from Twitter that we saw after the brackets were released yesterday. 9 Indiana schools. That's 28% of the field, 9 out of the 32 spots. Southern Indiana Athletic Club, they spotted that.
Indiana represent.
We also got some more from Dwayne Cosby. Okay, so he's the coach at San Diego Christian. Washington Adventist UAV will be the game of the first round, so that's a second vote for that. He said Grace Indiana is getting slept on, so we'll have to keep an eye on them. And that there's definitely something in the water in the state of Indiana. Again, 9 teams, it's hard to ignore. And John, you kind of mentioned this about Antelope Valley. They've got a good combination of offense, defense, skill, and depth, and he played them apparently. College of Idaho coaching is off the charts. Well, they're number 1 overall seed, so apparently something's working for College of Idaho.
And they're one of the top defensive teams. I think 1, 2, or 3, somewhere in that. They're a great defensive team. So you get it where you see great defensive numbers, you see great coaching.
Yeah. At Score More. Look at that. I like that handles from Marcus Moore. He said, my thoughts that are obviously irrelevant. Number 1, no way the AII, the independents, should ever get 3 automatic bids when bubble teams like Dort, Southwestern, Bethel, and St. Thomas would agree. I'm not going to argue that, but I will say that the teams in the AII deserve to be there, just so we're clear.
Earned, not given.
Why earned, not given? Number 2, why is the number 1 overall seed playing the host school who will have a large crowd? Couldn't they have, I don't know, surely they could have moved that around a little bit, but whatever. It's an NAIA. We get ready to play. Number 3, Kaiser should be furious at their Raider.
100%.
Okay, so they got the 7 seed out of their bracket, but they didn't win the regular season champion. They didn't win the tournament champion, but still good numbers-wise. I guess he's arguing they should be higher than 7. All right, number 4, I hate to draw SAU Spring Arbor. Yeah, in round 1. Yeah, good luck, Oklahoma Wesleyan. It's going to be tough playing the defending national champions in the first round.
That was last year.
It is last year. He brings up Hoops King in Indiana.
It is.
A lot of great players.
King of the NAIA.
Yeah.
King of Hoops.
Some good teams there. Great players in this year's tournament. We brought up Minix and Kyle Mangus, yeah. And then Antelope Valley. He says they appear to be talented. Again, more love for Antelope Valley. That very well might just be the first round game right there between Antelope Valley, Washington, and Menace. All right, guys, let's go over to Division II women's basketball, where the brackets were also revealed and where Concordia's late season surge earned them the number 1 overall seed, followed by Marion, Southeastern, and Hastings. Let's start with the Naismith bracket, where those, like we mentioned, the Concordia Bulldogs, guys, they look strong and will. You kind of like the Bulldogs' chances at making a deep run. I really do. Why is that?
Just look at the schedule. They have 2 losses, and both of them are to number 1 seeds in this bracket. They have 2 girls, and they're averaging almost 14 points a game. They're number 1 in steals. They rarely turn the ball over, and they've beaten their opponents by about 29 points a game. Wow. It's hard to beat that, honestly.
John,
is that your pick all the way?
I don't want to go too early, but they're definitely a favorite.
How far are they going to go? Who are they going to beat?
Definitely winning Naismith, in my opinion. They'll go to
so
Fab 4.
Naismith, and
they'll
then
go to top 4.
Okay, so he's saying at least the Fab 4. John, you picking Concordia through this, or is that just too easy?
They're good. It's a chalk, and my experience tells me it's tough to see the chalk go all the way unless you're just head and shoulders above everyone. Mm-hmm. It kind of appears that way. So I think if I pick them to win the first one, I'm gonna pick them to win the whole thing.
Oh, wow.
And that's goes against my nature a little bit, because I don't always like to just go chalk there. I don't like to make it easy, and
but
yeah,
it's a good
they're 31-2.
Yeah,
they have 30 wins already, and the tournament hasn't started yet.
Yeah,
so.
It's just tough. That they play such great defense and such great offense. It's kind of like Oklahoma City this year, and
D1.
If you don't have to play eight players on the floor like Oklahoma City, they would have been undefeated. So. Yes, that was a jab at the refs. That game was totally
He's referencing
stolen.
the Oklahoma City Wayland Baptist game.
Yeah.
Where it was
if you don't know what I mean, you've never played in Plainview, Texas.
All right, well, guys, I kind of like. It's crazy. I'm going to say it's an upset, but the number 2 team here, Taylor. They Crossroads tournament runner-up. They can shoot threes like nobody's business. They're a great record this year. I like the 3-ball in the tournament, and I like them. I don't know if they're going to beat Concordia, but they're definitely properly seeded here. They got the best chance. You better shoot. You better score a lot of points if you're going to beat Concordia, and
definitely.
The 3-ball is the way to do it. So I like Taylor. All right, let's go over to the Cramer bracket, where another GPAC team in Hastings secured a number 1 seed. How about the GPAC? 2 number 1 seeds out of the 4.
Represent.
They'll start off playing the Sun Conference tournament champs in Johnson and Wales. Kind of surprised a few people there. John, see anything out of the Kramer brackets? Any predictions? You got Antelope Valley there. We've talked about them on the men's basketball. Do you like them on the women's side as well?
Well, winning is contagious, so that seems to be kind of what's happened out there in California. I don't think they're quite strong enough to go all the way. They may win that particular first round game, and I see that as a win for them. But yeah, it's going to be tough to knock off Hastings. Although we saw one of my favorite games to watch was when Duer knocked off Hastings.
Duer pulled it off.
Great game.
But that was a tough place to play. Hastings is proven over the year, so I'm going to take them at least down to the bracket 4.
Okay.
To win the bracket.
All right, Will, what do you got in this bracket? What do you see?
I'm going to have to go with College of Ozarks here. Guys, they are number 2 in three-point percentage, shooting about 38%. And they have a complete baller in Abby Oliver.
Yeah,
and she's averaging about 14.7 points a game, shooting 46 from the field. And they haven't lost a game in 13 games, guys. They know how to win. They're just going to keep rolling. They're going to keep doing it.
All right, well, so you're big on the Bobcats so far. Well, we'll see how it goes. Let's go to the Duer bracket. Guys, it's interesting. There are 3 teams in this bracket, or 3 schools, I guess, who are also in the men's side of the Duer bracket. Southeastern, Indiana Wesleyan, and Dakota Wesleyan.
What are the chances?
Deja vu all over again. John, you look at these matchups. You know, you got a really strong Southeastern team. They had a surprise loss in the tournament, but you got some talent in this bracket. You got a favorite to advance out of Duer?
Well, I think it's either going to be Southeastern or Dort, and I think they face each other in the semifinals of the bracket there.
Yeah.
So I'm a fan of Southeastern, but I think Dort has a real strong chance.
They're historically good too. Will, what are thoughts on this bracket?
I'm going to have to go with St. Xavier, guys. They have the number 1 three-point shooter in Maddie Welter.
Going with the threes like
and
me.
They're just a high-powered offense. But they also are first in the nation in blocks, getting about 6.5 per game.
Wow.
And they have size that I don't think any other team can match up against.
Yeah. Well, I would say Southeastern could match up. They got a 6'6" center. I think that's definitely that's definitely going to do something there.
One thing that they do have in their favor, they have 4 young ladies that can score very well.
Definitely.
So it's a well-balanced attack that you're going to see. And all 4 of them are well into double digits, strongly into double digit points per game figures. So that's not a bad pick.
Number 2.
That
plays
to an advantage in postseason basketball.
Just the depth being spread around a little bit. That's going to be. You're going to need that in a tournament where someone may just be cold. Nice when you have 3 other people you can pass the ball to. You can get double digits by the end of the game. All right, let's go over to the Liston bracket. Where guys, my gut's just telling me there's going to be multiple upsets on day 1.
Upset watch.
You guys tell me. John, you start. See any upsets brewing in the Liston bracket?
Yeah, this is tough, man, because every team in this bracket, I think, is very, very good. I think they all could, if they were in other brackets, they could get a little bit higher. And I would watch the Liston bracket to go, these are going to be the best games to watch. All of them probably barn burners.
Yeah.
Voorhees
and Marion.
And Marion. That is just going to be a great 1-8 matchup. It's not your typical 1-8 matchup.
No, it's not.
And you're going to be absolutely surprised at how close every one of these games are.
Okay.
Will, what about you? Who you like out of this bracket?
I'm going to have to go with the 5 seed here in Siena Heights. They've only lost 3 conference games all year, and they were all really close, honestly. Peyton Banks, she's averaging 15.8 points per game, and Demi Russell's averaging about 15.1. And Banks is also a 92% free throw shooter.
That's going to be handy.
She's the number 1 in all of women's basketball in the NAIA and number 3 in all of NAIA basketball, men and women.
Wow. 92%.
Free throws are such an important part of basketball, and when it comes down to close tournament games, free throws are going to be big.
You're going to want that.
Well, they definitely have one of the best plus scoring differentials in Division II basketball at around 15, I believe. So they're definitely – that's not a bad pick as well. I can see it. But I'm just telling you, they're all really good
it's a great bracket.
in that bracket.
All right. Well, that's going to do it in terms of the bracket. Let's go look at everyone who qualified by conference, and then we'll look at who maybe got snubbed. So the big winner in terms of conference, the GPAC. 5 teams, and two of those, Concordia and Hastings, they're number 1 seeds. So really, really good competition that's going to come to play when you look at. I guess that's like Morningside and Dort. They're going to get in because they got to play Concordia and Hastings 4 games every year. So that's almost 4 L's. You don't want to say that guaranteed, but you still have to take that in consideration when you're playing teams like that. So again, Calpac North Star, they each get 1, 3 out of the independents. And look at Southeastern there from the Sun. Siena Heights, you pick them. They're the at-large bid out of the the Wolverine Hoosier Athletic Conference. And, in Crossroads, obviously, with Indiana Wesley and St. Francis, they got a couple of at-large bids. So really good basketball in the Crossroads and GPAC. All right, so that's who's in. Just take a mental picture. Let's look at who was left out. Huntington was the first team out. 9-9 in their 99 in conference play. That's fourth, and we mentioned Crossroads is good. So fourth isn't as bad, but still 9 losses overall, 21 wins. They lost to Taylor, who was the 2 seed in the semifinals by only 2 points, and they got a high scorer in there. So not a bad team at all.
You just got to win your conference championship.
You got to win the conference championships is what it comes down to. Eastern Oregon, 22-10, another 20-plus team, right around 10 losses. Lost in the semifinals to Southern Oregon. Embry-Riddle, 11-2 in the conference, in a Cal-Pac who only got 1 team in. Overall, 24-5.
That's my biggest snub right there.
5 losses. That's it. And they lost to Antelope Valley, who in the championship, 86-84 in overtime.
Overtime
shot.
They lost to a last-second shot.
Buzzer beater. Top 20 in the NAIA in scoring margin, points allowed a game, assists per game, steals per game. That's a pretty good team. That's a really, really strong resume.
Yeah.
And then Northwestern, 17-11. Only 12-10 in the GPAC. But remember, it's the GPAC. You have some really good teams that are going to rack up the losses.
Yep.
So, they lost to Morningside in an opening round overtime loss. You guys, if I opened up one spot to play into an 8 seed somewhere, which team are you picking?
Definitely.
Out of those 4.
Embry-Riddle for me, 100%. That's a big snub. That one hurts for them not to be able to get in.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. That's tough, only getting 1 team in. And that's,
2 conference losses.
Just kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, there's, I don't know, 24-5 does it for me. Only 5 losses after 29 games. I think you should get in, especially the way they got their 5th loss.
Definitely.
All right, guys, there's a lot to follow with the D2 men's and women's basketball tournament starting on Wednesday. All you need to do, guys, it's very easy. All you got to do is follow @CSN_NAI on Twitter so you don't miss the latest news, upsets, updates, and analysis. Yeah. Also, guys, for the first time ever, our next episode will be live right here on YouTube. Division 1 men's and women's brackets will be revealed right here on the show. We'll all watch it together and right here on Buzzer Beater. So, guys, make sure you subscribe and hit that bell so you get notified next time we go live. Now, that's going to do it for this episode of Buzzer Beater. On behalf of our entire team at the Champion Sports Network, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.